Hi, and welcome to the Virgin River Cafe Rewatch podcast. Good morning, Gigi.
Good morning, Tracy. What's shaking?
It's another day in the life of what? I'm not exactly sure, but we're just living life over here.
Yeah, well, you got to take the summer as it comes. What
Yes,
can I
it's
say?
our summer vacation. I know you in your job don't have vacation. Every day is a
Do
work
not-
day.
Pretty much, yes.
Yes, if you do not have a baby in your life, then you are off. But that doesn't happen that
Yes.
often. You tend to roll from one family to the next, and it's like a
Uh,
revolving door of little people.
well, welcome to being, to my clients.
Yes, love the tiny humans in the world.
They they're wonderful beings.
uh,
Anyway,
but I am enjoying summer vacation because I am not having to get up at the butt crack of
crack it up.
dawn to make sure that teenagers get where they need to go because high school is somewhere we need to be every day. So I'm
Uh,
enjoying that. Um,
I'm happy for you.
it's not going to
Yes,
last. Summer is not a thing that feels as long as it did when we were growing up. I feel like we had 3 months off growing up. We got
yep,
out in
you were
May, we had June, July, and August, and then we would go back in September. And I feel like they
exact.
don't have that.
No, they don't. They
No.
don't have that.
I mean,
They don't.
I always joke that my kids used to watch Phineas and Ferb, and there's a
Yes.
song and it says 103 days of summer. I'm like, whoever had 103 days of anything? I want to go to school where Phineas and Ferb go to school because I would love that. But no, no, they got out, I think, June 2nd, and they go back early this year, August 13th. I was shocked. I was shocked at. And then she's just reminded me last night she's got 2 books she's supposed to read.
Places like Japan where they have very short summer
Very
vacations.
short.
So
Trying to enjoy our summer vacation. And
yeah, I hope everybody's doing the same.
yes, yes, I hope so. And it rained for 5 minutes last week, this past week. I mean, I literally watched the clock. It was 5 minutes. And that was it. It was done. So we had a little party because it rained, because it doesn't rain down here. And we moved on.
And
Now,
sing that it never rains in
it,
Southern
it
California.
very rarely rains in Southern California. They need to like revise the song. So
I think so.
what are you drinking today?
Well, today you will be surprised.
Mm,
I made myself my own version of green tea lemonade, but it's more like
I
ginger
love
lemonade.
green tea lemonade.
I'm a big fan of ginger.
I
I
know.
can,
I know. I
I
had
know
to
it's
buy my husband a bottle of ginger ale the other day, and I'm like, ew. But go ahead. I,
no.
I get it. You love it.
I love it. I buy the big thing of ginger from Costco,
Mm-hmm.
and then I clean it, and then I grate it up into a pulp, and then I freeze it, and then I take a cube out and just have it there. I might drop it in some hot water to make tea, or just
Add it to your
pour it out
tea.
and
Mm-hmm.
add it. Or add basically what I did today was poured a cube, add my bubbly water, which I live by,
Mm-hmm.
and then have some lemonade because I have a ton of friends here who have lemon
Oh,
trees.
I wish. Oh,
Oh,
that's so
it,
nice.
it's an abundance of lemons I have in my life.
God, I
So
wish I
um,
lived closer. I'd be like coming to get lemons like every week from you.
yeah, the amount of lemons I have is huge.
God.
So what I end up doing is I end up squeezing them and then freezing it, or I have a bottle of
Yeah,
it.
that's the best.
And so that's what I made for myself. So that is my drink of choice today. What
Mm.
about yourself?
I just went. I made some more Costa Rican cold brew, the coffee that my daughter
Okay.
brought back from her choir trip,
Yeah.
and I had just enough to make my last cup. I'm gonna have to make some more. Um,
Oh,
but yeah, it's really yummy. It's really good. She picked well. She was like, "My mom loves coffee. Give me something that she'll like." Like that was the recommendation. Is whatever they gave her. It's really yummy.
good.
So and I had to
Excellent.
make some more syrup of my own syrup. I made some yesterday,
All right.
and I have my flavored creamer. And yum.
Yeah.
I just kind of went with the basics today. Had it all here, which is great. So yeah, brew up my own yummy. So
All
now
right.
I'm
Well,
fully caffeinated, and we are diving in. I'm so
yes.
excited we made it to season 6, and
Six.
it's so much fun. I'm so excited.
All right.
Let's get
Season.
started.
So we're in season 6, episode 2, The Broken Places.
Okay, so we've met Everett, Mel's dad, officially Mel's dad. So this episode says Everett reveals the story of how he met Mel's mother. Because everyone thinks they must have met in Virgin River. Ah, ye of little faith, we will see. Preacher faces a life changing choice, and the sewing circle plays matchmaker for Muriel. Oh, good. Because now Muriel's lost Cameron because he went back to his ex. Now we've got to
Yeah.
get her a man. So we've started off with lovely scenery, but the difference between this scenery and normal scenery is this scenery is about 40, 50 years ago. They don't give you a timeline, sort of. So we see this adorable VW bus. I love VW buses. They're so cute. They're coming back. They're making electric ones. I would love to get one because they're just so much fun. But this red and white VW bus is trucking down the street, and this adorable gentleman is driving it. And he's listening to the radio, news about the Vietnam War and planes attacked someplace in North Vietnam, dropping bombs, and he's listening to it, and he changes the channel. He's like, nope, not listening to that. I'm going to listen to American Pie. Now, the Vietnam War was like from the 50s to the 70s. It lasted 20-ish, 25 years. I'm going to guess due to everyone's age, Everett and Doc is the same age, and Mel's mom would have been, and when Mel was born, I'm going to guess that this probably is right around the early 70s. That's going to be my guess. It would make sense.
Yeah. Yeah, because American Pie out there.
Yeah, because they're playing American Pie. And so that would make sense that American Pie is on the radio right around there. So that helps, because with Virgin River, I mean, timelines are so fluid. Let's put it that way. They mix up the timelines as far as how long things last and all. So I think early 70s is a good guess.
Yeah, American Pie came out in 1971.
There you go. So he's having a good time, and he's just singing along, riding down the street, having a good time singing this song, and he sees a girl on the side of the road. Now, back in the 70s, God knows we would never do this today. Hitchhiking was a thing. Like, you wouldn't even think twice about it. I mean, I grew up in the 70s. I was a little kid in the 70s, but
I wasn't.
Yes. Did you hitchhike?
No, I did not hitchhike. When we were traveling as a family, we saw so many people hitchhiking.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody could fit in our car because remember,
there was a lot of you. Of us. Yes.
But we saw a lot of hitchhikers on American highways.
Yeah, it was a thing. Like it was very common. It's very common.
It was very. It was also the fact is that you have to remember if you got off the intersection, you got off that exit, and you are hitchhiking. It's miles before the next exit. It's not like now where
it's not.
Life
isn't as developed.
Like 3 miles
exactly.
Yeah.
Things weren't as developed.
Yeah.
Places were not as developed as they are today. Today, you don't need to hitchhike because something is everywhere. You got Uber, you got public transportation, you have an electric bicycle. I mean, there's 150 ways to get anywhere. Back then, things were much more spread out. Things were a lot less developed. And honestly, I feel like the world was still crazy. Don't get me wrong. But I feel like it wasn't as crazy as it is now. I feel like people felt safer, and maybe weird stuff happened, but not to the extent that it does today. And I just feel like people felt safe. They didn't lock their doors. They didn't lock their cars. They'd left their kids home. It was just a different world 50 years ago. And hitchhiking was every day. People were doing it every day. So he's driving up, sees this cute girl with her thumb out, because that's what you did. You stand on the road and you stick your thumb like in the direction you want to go in, because people are like, how do you hitchhike? What is that? Like these young kids who don't know what that is. You stand on the side of the road in the direction you want to go in, and you put your thumb out, and maybe somebody will pull over. And
please don't do that these days.
No, please don't do that. He starts to like look at her. He doesn't pull over, but he slows down like in slow motion. I don't know if he actually put his foot on the brake, but it was like slow-mo eyeballing her, and she's smiling at him, and he's looking at her. And as he passes her, he hits the brakes and he backs up. And
Boys drive stick shift. Yay!
yeah, because everything was stick shift then. So
Yep.
he stops and he pulls his sunglasses down and takes them off. And she's like, "Hi." And he's like, "Where are you headed?" Because that's always the question. You know, I'll take you as far as I can take you, or maybe I'll take you everywhere you want to go. And sometimes these people who people get pick up for hitchhiking become lifelong friends. I mean, it's just it's the most bizarre thing in the world. But she's like, "I'm going to San Francisco." And he's like, "What are you doing there?" She's like, "Going to a peace march with my friends." That was a big thing. People protested.
Mhm.
They supported whatever the thing was at the time, and there was a big peace march in San Francisco, and so that's where she's headed. He kind of looks at her like, "Great." He goes, "You're not going to make me talk politics the whole drive, are you?" And she's like, "If I say yes, are you going to leave me stranded here?" Now, she's very young, maybe early 20s, would you guess?
Oh, yeah, maybe early 20s,
I mean,
maybe
that's who she's
19, 20. So,
portraying is what I'm saying.
yeah,
We
yeah,
know the
yeah,
actress is
yeah,
older than that, but I'm thinking the vibe they're going with is early 20s.
yeah.
And she's got sort of strawberry blonde hair. So we are to assume, because as the Virgin River audience knows best, this is her parents. This is Mel's parents. So they had to kind of do a little like reminiscent of what Mel, where she got her strawberry blonde hair, because clearly her sister did not get that from her mom. But she
Hmm.
always used to say that she was like a mini me of her mom. So if we see a young woman with strawberry blonde hair, we must assume that that is Mel's mom. And this cute guy driving, that must be Mel's real dad. That's bio dad.
Yep.
So the guy answers her when she says, if I say that I'm going to talk politics, you're going to leave me stranded?" And he's like, "Maybe." He's got a big smile, and they both kind of laugh. And she comes up to the window and she leans on, and she's like, "Why is that?" And he's like, "I'm really more of a sex, drugs, and rock and roll kind of guy." And she's like, She goes, "I'm sure we can find something to talk about. So, about that ride?" And she smiles at him, and he's thinking, he's like, "You're in luck." And she's like, "Yes." He goes, "I'm headed to see the Stones at Winterland, so I'll drop you on the way." And that's generally how it happened. Somebody's going somewhere. They pick them up and they take them as far as as far as they can take them on the way to wherever they're going. That's kind of how hitchhiking works. It was actually a very effective way to get anywhere. Now, when he said, "I'm into sex, drugs, and rock and roll," he tapped his guitar because he had a guitar sitting on the front seat with him. He's a musician of some kind. And so they introduced themselves. So he's like, "What's your name?" She's like, "Sarah." And he goes, "Hello, Sarah," as they continue listening to American Pie. And she's like, "I love this song." And he's like, "You know this song?" And she's like, "Everybody knows this song." And they're just driving down the road. And so this story is being told by Everett. Him and Mel have decided to take a walk. Remember, they're getting to know each other. He's decided, I guess, to give her he has been very, very tight-mouthed. There's a 4-month gap between Christmas and now. This is like mid-April, early April.
Yeah.
And that's what we've determined, and I'll explain later how we figured that out. And so he has decided to share information. That's really all she wanted. She just needed to know who her mom was. And this whole life her mom had before she met her dad, who she thought was her biological dad, is a life that Mel knows nothing about. So this is like a peek behind the curtain of Mel's mom's life long before she was ever married. And so Everett's telling Mel this, and she's like, "You met my mom hitchhiking?" And he's like, "Is that really so hard to believe?" And she's like, "Well, yeah, kind of. I mean, like, it just seems so unlike her." And he goes, "Well, it was the 70s. That kind of thing happened all the time," which is so funny. She's like, Mel's kind of looking at him like laughing, Like, what was she like back then? And he's like, she was like you, sharp as a tack, beautiful. And Mel's smiling. She's like, but what I loved most about her was her laugh. It almost looks like that Mel has taken him to the same spot that Jack took her when they, similar spot, like by the river.
Mhm.
So it's very cool. So he said he loved her laugh. And then you hear the mom's laugh as he's remembering. So now we go back to the VW bus, and the two of them are having a conversation, and he asks her, "What do you mean you don't like Bob Dylan?" She's like, "Okay, I get that he's your hero, but his voice just, I don't know, it sounds like a cat complaining." And the guy's like, "He's the greatest songwriter of all time." She's like, "Oh, come on." And he starts like saying lyrics and naming songs, and she's like, "Oh, I do like that one." He goes, "Yeah, of course you do. It's a protest song." Because now he knows that she's that kind of girl. So they're having a
Bob
good
Dylan,
time.
definitely. He's an acquired taste.
He
Let's
is
put it
not
that.
one of my favorites. Yeah. But
He's an
if you
acquired.
like his music, a lot of people do. It's amazing.
Yeah.
He's a legend.
Mhm.
So she asks him, "You ever write a protest song?" And he's like, "Oh, no, hell no. I don't even like thinking about the war." And she's like, "Why not?" And he's like, "Because I'm just trying to have fun, Sarah. Or at least as much as I could possibly have before they send me over there to die." And she
Oh,
kind of looks
jeez.
a little sad. And
Uh-huh.
then the engine starts to sputter, and there's some rattling, and something's not right. And she's like, "What was that?" And he pulls over, and he's looking at the engine, and he's like, grab the wheel." And she's like, "Why?" He goes, "We're going to have to push to start." And he goes, "Find an auto shop." He's like, "I am not missing the stones just because of a pothole." She goes, "Have you done this before?" He goes, "No, but we're going to figure it out." So she jumps in the driver's seat, and he starts pushing. You start the ignition, put her in second. And she's like, "Okay." He goes, "All right, on my signal, pop the clutch." This is like an old, people don't do this anymore because you don't have to. But that was such a way to start a car. Like if you had a
Oh
stick
yeah.
shift, put it in
Oh
second, and then as soon as and I never understood what that meant until I learned how to drive stick shift. But now it makes so much sense. And you got to put it in, put it in gear. And then as soon as
yeah.
you get going, pop the clutch and hopefully it'll start.
And you're holding on to that door, and you're basically, the
Running,
door's open and you're running, and then
running,
you jump in the
hoping
car.
your car doesn't get away from you, which is why it's good to have another person there. She's like, "Okay." And he is like, "Here goes nothing." And he starts pushing. And he's literally pushing the car down the street.
Mm.
And she's like, "Now?" And he's like, "Not yet." And he goes, "Now, now, now, now." And the engine sputters, and it's working. And then he starts running to catch up. And he's like, "Keep her steady, keep her steady." He's running. He jumps in the back, climbs over the seat, climbs over the seat again. And now they're laughing about it. They got the car started. So, this is like a little adventure, these two, who were perfect strangers just a short time ago. And she's like, "Oh my God, I can't even believe that worked." And she's like, "Where the hell are we?" And he's like, "I have no idea." Just as they pass a sign that says Virgin River. So that is our introduction to Virgin River way back in the 70s. And we get to enjoy some scenery shots, and we go back to reality. So we're at the courthouse, and Jack's with Preacher, and Jack is like, "I feel like I'm going to battle wearing a blindfold."
Hmm. Yes, he is.
And Mike is there, and Kaya is sitting next to Preacher, and Jack is kind of stomping around because, and he's like, "You sure there's nothing you're not telling me?" To Preacher. And he's like, "How many times you got to ask me that, man? The answer is still no." And Jack's like, "Sorry, I don't want to say the wrong thing out there, you know?" And Bree walks in, and she's like, "You won't, okay?" She's the lawyer. She's there. She goes, nothing in discovery raised any red flags about Jack. So she walks over to the other side of the table. She goes, or any surprises, so I'm not sweating this, and neither should you. So quit stomping around. You're wearing out your boots. Oh my goodness. That because everybody's worried. I mean, they're calling everybody in, they're asking questions, and I mean, granted, he's hiding stuff, but who knows how much they really know.
Right.
So they're concerned about any other surprise witnesses that Jenkins, which is the prosecutor, wants to call.
And Jack is honest to teeth.
He can't help it. And Bree's like, I'm not sweating this, neither should you, so quit pacing. She's like, you'll wear out your boots. And Kaya's like, but why Jack? Like, why are they asking him? Why do they want information about, with him? And Bree is like, my best guess is they're going to want to question him about Iraq and Afghanistan to try and establish that Preacher has a history of violent behavior. And Mike pipes right up and he's like, going after a vet for defending our country? He's like, good luck with that. Because he's right. I mean, the jury's not going to like that. And Bree is like, no, I know. He goes, Jenkins grasping at straws. But if that's his angle, I'll pick it apart on cross. So she's ready for him. She's like, don't worry, we're good. And Jack's like, okay. He goes, well, if that's the best they got, they picked the wrong fight, right? And he slaps Preacher on his back. I mean, everybody's just trying to be supportive. So there's a knock at the door. An officer of the court comes in. He goes, counsel, judge wants to get going. So they're like, okay, we'll be right in. So everybody's gathering themselves. She looks at Preacher. She's like, you ready for this? He grabs Kaya's hand. They look at each other, and he's like, ready as I'll ever be.
And the tension you could cut with a knife.
Right? Oh, my gosh. So we are back at Mel and Jack's property, and the barn is still under construction. Hope is there. She brought Lizzie with her. She's like, Lizzie's like, I don't know what's more ridiculous. You telling me hippophobia means a fear of horses, or you claiming to have a 900-pound horse in there. And Hope is like, oh, buck up. It's fine. You're going to be fine. And Lizzie looks very nervous. She goes, sugar, time for breakfast. Uh-oh, the horse is laying down. That is not a good sign. So they run in to check. So Muriel and Doc are at the clinic. And Muriel says to Doc, Denny asked me to schedule a meeting with you. Muriel says he wanted to, how did he put it, get something on the books. So I told him end of day would be best. Doc's looking at her and he's like, excuse me? And he grabs the phone and he answers and he goes, it's Hope. And he's like, are you okay? And he's like, okay, don't worry, I'm on it. Okay, ASAP. And he looks at Muriel and he's like, I got to see a woman about a horse. And she's like, wait, really? He goes, yeah. He goes, but he goes, how is my schedule? She goes, well, you're good until 4 o'clock with Mrs. Palmer. And he goes, okay. And he grabs his doctor bag and he goes, what time is Mel coming in? And she goes, well, I'm not sure. She wanted to go check on her father. He goes, well, can you hold down the fort until she gets here? And she salutes him. She goes, consider this Fort Knox, sir. And he's looking for something called Manuka honey. And Muriel opens a different cabinet, and she's like, I got that, and she hands it to him. He must need that for the horse. He goes, good luck with the horse, and off he goes. And just as Doc is walking out the back door, guess who's walking in the front door?
Our favorite ladies.
Yes, our our sewing circle ladies. And Muriel's like, well, good morning, ladies. Are you here to gossip or to gossip? Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, actually, dear, we're here because we have the cure for all your broken heart. She goes, oh, for goodness sake. It's time for you to get back out there, Missy. She goes, we would love to set you up with one of Virgin River's most eligible bachelors. Like, who is eligible? Like, the town is not that big. There's not that many people in it. Who are they thinking? Oh, my goodness. Can you believe this? These ladies.
They'll find somebody.
She's like, girls, please. I don't want to be. She goes, oh, how about Sam Edwards? And she's like, the butcher? I think he's quite a dreamboat. Liddy thinks he's a dreamboat. It goes, well, the last conversation we had was explaining the difference between fork shank and flank cut. She goes, Joellen's like, what about John Tanner's? You know, he lives near Charlie. She goes, with the ear hair? Really? Oh, this is not good. I mean, there's not a lot of young guys either if she wanted to go after a young one.
Love it.
And then Connie's like, wait, how about Booth? Muriel's like, who is Booth? And Connie and Joellen look at each other. Retired Army general, lives in Dismore. And they show a picture. And she looks at the picture. And Liddy's like, very kind eyes. Muriel's like, She's kind of like looking a little closer. She goes, well, he's a bit of a, silver fox. Connie's like, so you want to meet him? And Muriel's like, okay, fine. One date. Are you happy? And Connie's like, as a little neck clam. It just shows her Southern. She goes, because I already told him that you said yes. And Muriel's like, what, Connie? What are you doing? She goes, I booked a table for you tonight at DiCarlo's. And all the ladies are laughing. She goes, and don't embarrass me. Wear something sensible. And they all roll their eyes. That's so funny. So we're going back to the Humboldt County Courthouse, and the prosecutor's like, Mr. Sheridan, because now Jack's on the stand, would you tell the jury how you first met the defendant? It's like, really? You're going to go after a veteran? This is crazy. He goes, yep, we served together in the Marines. And he goes, thank you for your service. Yeah, they always got to throw that in.
Oh, yeah, because now here comes the kicker.
Yeah, well, he's going to try and discredit him. This is not going to work. He goes, Mr. Sheridan, would it be fair to describe your experience as traumatic? And Bree's like, objection, Your Honor, leading. And the judge is like, sustain. Mr. Jenkins, please rephrase or move on. And he's like, apologies, Your Honor. And he's like, how would you characterize your time overseas, Mr. Sheridan? And he's like, it was challenging. He goes, and the defendant's service? Honorable. He goes, and how do you define honorable? And Jack thinks, and he's like, well, I think his Purple Heart kind of speaks for itself. And Bree and Preacher kind of nod to each other, and then Preacher turns around and nods to Kaya, and Kaya nods back. All this silent conversation. So we get to the barn, and Doc shows up, and Hope is beside herself. She's like, still no word from the vet. Dr. Coleman finally called back, but she can't make it out until this evening, and she's freaking out. And Doc's like, what if Sugar... And Hope's like, what if Sugar doesn't make it that long? And Doc's like, I promise you I will do everything in my power to make sure he does, all right? Now let's go see how our patient's doing. So they rush inside, and Doc says hi to Lizzie, and he's like, hey, Sugar. Aw, Sugar's breathing pretty heavily. And Lizzie's like, see? Hippophobia. And they all kind of... He's like, here, let me calm him down. And Doc's like, yeah. So Doc's being very sweet. He goes, hi, sweetheart. It's okay. Just rest. You're okay. You're a good boy. And Lizzie's holding her belly because, remember, she's very pregnant. And she's looking at Doc. She goes, where did you learn to do that? Because Hope is laying next to the horse and, like, rubbing him and petting him and talking to him. And she's like,
And I love it. Look,
Lizzie's
Lizzie.
beside herself. She is so not into this at all. And Hope is like, I learned it from Roland. And Lizzie's like, who is Roland? And she's like, my ex-husband, as she looks at Doc. He had a big, stupid ranch. Taught me everything I know about horses. And Doc's like, okay, just keep doing what you're doing. Because Doc wants to go in and check. And he's like, sweet boy. Hope's like, you're doing good. Doc's like, I want to take a look at this. Because you can see there's an injury on one of the horse's legs. Got his gloves on. He wants to get close. He goes, easy, Sugar. And Hope's talking to the horse. And he's like, the man's going to look at your leg, Sugar. It's okay. And Doc's like, yeah, this wound looks infected. That would explain his lethargy. Or Hope keeps just petting him. Doc gets out something, and it's the honey that he got from Muriel. And Lizzie's like, is that honey? And Doc's like, yeah, it's Manuka honey. And he says to Sugar, it's going to feel good. You're going to be okay. And Doc's like, it's an antibacterial, and it helps until the vet gets here. And he puts it on the wound. He goes, but in the meantime, I'm going to clean the wound and suture it up. And then I'm going to wrap this leg. I guess Sugar got a little startled and starts moving around. And Hope just keeps trying to be soothing. trying to, rub his head and petting him and trying to keep him calm. And Lizzie's like, well, I think you guys have it all covered here. I've got prenatal yoga, so I'm going to go. And she backs away very slowly. So,
Anything to not be there.
right? Yeah. So now we're at the fire station. And look who's there working out with the firemen. It's Brady.
I'm looking fine, darling.
Yep,
Looking
he
fine.
is pumping some. Wow. And this guy is walking on the elliptical or on the treadmill, whatever that is. And he was like, I'm coming for you, Brady. And he's like, give me a month. I'm coming for it. So the guy's looking at Brady and he goes, you got to beat the best of the best. And Brady's like, whatever. And he goes, where's the chief? And he's like, oh, yeah, she's tied up at the courthouse. And the guy turns around and goes, lady sure does take a lot of time off, huh? And Brady's like, her boyfriend's trial started today. And the guy's like, just making an observation. He clearly does not respect the fact that she's in charge. And I'm feeling he's going to be a problem.
Oh, definitely.
And Brady just keeps working out, kind of looking at that guy like, the guy's a jerk. Because he would probably like to be there, but, he's not invited. So he picks up his phone. And he looks at his text message to and from Bree. And it says, from Bree, hey, sorry, I missed this. Wasn't me, though. Must have been a different Brady. Interesting.
Those two are like oil and water.
I know. It's such a problem right now. They're so in different places in their life. So we're back at Everett's cabin, and Mel's checking Everett, making sure he's okay because they went for a walk, and so she's in nurse mode now. It looks like she's checking his heart. She's got her stethoscope. She's like, your pulse is strong and your heartbeat's regular, and as far as I'm concerned, you have a clean bill of health. And he's like, well, I tried to tell you that the other day. And she's like, yeah, that's very funny. She's like, so, did you make it there? And he's like, where? To see the stones. And he kind of looks pensive. He's got this look on his face. And then we're back to more memories. So now we're back in the 70s, and it's Franklin's Towing and Salvage. And this guy is looking at the VW, and he goes, good news, bad news. Now we've got Sarah, which is Mel's mom, is sitting up on the workbench, and Everett is standing next to her, and he's like, good news, I can fix your van. Bad news, you're going to need a new starter. And he's like, well, how long is that going to take? And he goes, hold on. We got to catch every word. This is good. And he's like, about 48 hours, give or take. And both of them look very nervous about that. It's like, he goes, and if you think you're cutting the line, you hippies have another thing coming. This is a voice that comes from around the corner. And the guy who owns the what did they call that? The mechanic yells to this woman who just yelled that, don't worry, Connie, you know the drill. So now we get to see a young Connie.
Connie.
Who's a Spitfire then as she is now. And he's like, first come, first served. And she gives him a look like, she is eyeballing these hippies, as she calls them. And it looks like she works there because she's seated in a chair, like almost receptionist maybe.
Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah. And so Sarah says, is there somewhere that we might be able to stay? She goes, well, we're waiting for the starter. We're not from around here and we're not exactly flush. They don't have any money. He goes, well, don't sweat the cost. I'm just going to charge you for the parts, not the service. Oh, what a nice guy. He goes, that's the Virgin River way.
I was now about to say that. That's
right?
So Virgin.
That's so Virgin River. And she's like, thank you. And he's like, you're welcome. He goes, but pickings are kind of slim when it comes to lodging. And so Sarah and Everett kind of look at each other like, okay, so what are we going to do? And he's like, hey, you two the outdoorsy type? And Everett's like, looks at Sarah, not really. She's like, he goes, I mean, I keep a tent in the van in case of emergencies. Why? He goes, because there's this pretty little campground nearby. Perfect for a romantic weekend. He goes,
Ooh la
better.
la.
All right. Because he thinks they're together. Clearly, he doesn't know that he picked up a hitchhiker. He goes, better than any motel you'll find for miles around. He goes, we're not actually. He goes, no, no, no. Trust me. He cuts him off. He's like, you won't regret it. He goes, I'm even going to get my son to show you the way. And he goes, hey, Bert, get in here. Oh, now we get to meet little boy
My,
Bert.
my favorite character.
Well, and he's got an African American father. And we see this red haired, freckled boy. And he's like, you want to show these nice people to the campground nearby down the river?
And he is a flippin' adorable.
Oh my gosh, he's so cute. He goes, you got it, Pop. He's so cute. Gives him a high five and tells him, come on. And he goes, that's my boy. He's like, come on, honey. Nice man said we wouldn't regret it, as they hold hands. He's enjoy yourselves. He goes, and then he yells, Connie, who's next? So Everett opens up the thing, grabs his bag, looks at Sarah. She's looking at him. They're kind of making eyes at each other. We'll see. So they get to this little area, and the tent is kind of pathetic, but I'm sure it'll work. And it's right.
It reminds me of the Brady Bunch when they tried to go camping.
Yeah.
That's how it looked.
It does. It's kind of sad. So they're on this like little sandy beachy area next to the river, and there's two lawn chairs, and he's sitting by the fire playing his guitar, and she's taking pictures. She's got one of those like cameras, old-fashioned cameras with film. That's how they did it, with the little flash, that's on the top, the little square flash that sits on top. God, that's old school. And so she walks over and she says to him, I take it you haven't had many emergencies. And he's like, well, what can I say? I guess I'm just a lucky guy. And so she takes a picture of him while he's sitting there in front of the fire as he's laughing, playing his guitar. And he's like, well, at least we got the essentials. So they're sitting down, and he's like, fire and whiskey. I guess that's all they need. So she grabs one of the blankets. Looks like somebody crocheted it. And he's just playing his guitar. And she grabs the whiskey, and she's like, mind if I? And he kind of nods to her like, go right ahead. She kind of holds it up like, cheers, takes a sip, and then starts coughing. And he laughs. He goes, didn't think city girls could shoot the hard stuff. Oh, reminiscent of Mel's first day in Virgin River, when Jack said the same thing to her. Didn't know city girls could shoot whiskey. So I guess she also has a propensity for whiskey. I love how they have these all these little throwbacks.
Well, it may run in the blood. Who knows?
I think it's great that they use the same line too. I love that. So he's just strumming along on his guitar. She's staring at him. And she's like, is that one of your songs? And he kind of nods his head. And he's like, yeah. She goes, sounds like a love song. He goes, who's it about? And he's like, that is for me to know and you to find out. And they both start laughing. He just keeps playing, and he's staring at her. And he's like, why don't you ditch the march and come to the Stones with me? She's like, you really think I'm that easy? They both laugh. He shrugs his shoulders. He goes, so you can skip one march. What's the big deal? She goes, well, the big deal is that when you believe in something like I do, you don't let anything get in your way, even a handsome musician with a tempting offer. And he's like, oh, stop. She's like, but I mean, I wouldn't expect you to understand. He goes, what is that supposed to mean? He's like, you said to yourself, all you care about is having a good time. As she's still drinking more whiskey. He's like, sure, but that doesn't mean I don't have beliefs. And she's like, okay, enlighten me. And he's like, and she goes, yeah, He puts his guitar down, and he moves really close. He's like, I believe in love at first sight. power of songs in minor keys and listening to your heart when it's trying to tell you something. She's just staring at him. She goes, what's your heart trying to tell you right now? Right now, he says, my heart is telling me if I don't kiss you, I might spend the rest of my life regretting it.
Nice move.
She's like, well, that would be a shame. And so he does. He kisses her. And of course, she's going to kiss him back.
Of course.
Like, why wouldn't you? I mean, that was a good line. So now they're kissing and laughing by the fire in the moonlight. Now we are the next day. We're at the march. There's crowds and crowds of people. And they're all yelling, peace now, peace now, peace now. And he pulls up. They've obviously gotten the car fixed. And he's dropping her off at this peace march. And she's taking pictures, and she's so excited to be there. And the people are yelling. He's trying to like follow where the crowd's going in the car. Everyone's holding signs. There's a lot of people there. So he pulls into kind of this alley area, and people are yelling, hell no, we won't go. Hell no, we won't go. She starts packing her stuff up, and they look at each other, and she gives him the peace sign and says, peace, and gets out of the car. And he's like, wait a minute. And he gets out of the car, and he starts running after her. She's got some really long, cool hair, by the way. And he's like, Sarah. And he's like, Sarah. And she turns around, and he's like, I guess this is the end of the road. And she's like, I guess so. He's like, yeah. She comes back to him, walks back really close, gives him a little kiss. Okay, maybe a big kiss.
Yep.
And then she backs up, and she goes, thanks for the ride, man. And off she goes into the crowd. And he like was going to turn back, and he like goes after her, and he's like, Sarah, Sarah. And she's yelling with the crowd, what do we want? Peace. And he's like, I don't even know your last name. And he yells, Sarah. And she sees one of her friends. He goes, oh, this is so groovy. This is amazing. And he's trying to like watch her as she's walking away. He goes, Sarah, Sarah. And he's trying to kind of chase after her and can't find her. She's lost in the crowd now.
Well, it's quite a march.
Oh,
let me
yeah.
tell you.
There's a lot of people there. And he's searching through the crowd. And he sees her again. And she's chanting with everyone. And he yells, Sarah. And she goes, what are you doing? And he's like, I got to see you again. She goes, I can't hear you. He goes, I need to see you again. She goes, you will. And he goes, how? She goes, I don't know. Fate. And she walks away. Oh, another thing. Mel loves fate and serendipity and coincidence. And that's what brought her to Virgin River. And here we are back.
Yeah.
Back at Everett's. He's recounting this whole thing, and he's got tears in his eyes. And Mel is like, my mom believed in fate? He goes, she was a hopeless romantic and the love of my life. But every romance is a tragedy in the end. He goes, sorry. I know that's not in the wedding spirit. She goes, no, it's fine. She goes, actually, I used to believe the same thing. She goes, I was married before. His name was Mark. And when he died, I can't tell you how many mornings I could barely get myself out of bed. And he looks at her. He goes, but the end of one love story can be the beginning of another. And he's like, I'm truly sorry for your loss. But do you really believe that? She's like, I mean, yeah, I'm proof. And then her phone buzzes. And she goes, sorry. She goes, I'm teaching a prenatal yoga class at the birthing center. She's like, would it be okay if I came back tomorrow? And he's like, I'm looking forward to it already. She's like, okay, great. And so she sees this book that happens to be on his coffee table. And it's one of the Hemingway books. And she goes, oh, this is one of Jack's favorite books. And he goes, ah, good man. He goes, I read it like, I don't know, 1,000,000 years ago. He chuckles. He goes, the world breaks everyone. And afterward, many are strong at the broken places. He goes, do you remember what it's about? She's like a soldier who falls in love with a nurse. Take it with you. I think you'll enjoy revisiting it. How funny, a soldier who falls in love with a nurse. Mel and Jack. Aw, so sweet. Now we know why secretly that's Jack's favorite book.
Yep.
He just didn't know it when he was reading it. And she's like, okay, thanks. So we're back at the courthouse. Prosecutor's asking, to the best of your knowledge, has the defendant ever lied to you? And Jack's like, never. He's still on the stand. He goes, no, I've known Preacher for almost 20 years. He's my best friend and a man of great integrity. The jurors are kind of nodding. And he goes, so when the defendant called you on the day of the murder and told you that he was leaving the bar, where did he tell you he was going? He's like, I don't recall. He goes, allow me to jog your memory, Mr. Sheridan, because I think he left a message. Remember? I think he left Jack a message. So Preacher asks Bree, what's going on? And Bree's like, I don't know. She looks very nervous and she stands up. She goes, Your Honor, may we approach?
Yeah, it's going somewhere.
And the judge is like, not now. She's like, continue, Mr. Jenkins. He goes, thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Sheridan, do you recognize this voice? And it's Preacher on the recording. It says, hey, it's me. Listen, everything with Paige worked out. She just has to leave town for a family emergency and needed help shutting off the main water valve. So I'm just going to stop by my house and I'll be back to go through the receipts. Okay, bye. And Bree stands up. Your Honor, I object. This is a gross discovery violation because they didn't know they had that. Because that voicemail was never provided to the defense. And the prosecutor guy's like, actually, Your Honor, that information was provided in electronic data. And the judge is like, overruled. Continue, Mr. Jenkins. Mr. Sheridan, whose voice did we all just hear? And he goes, and I'll remind you that you're under oath. And Jack closes his eyes. But he has to be honest. He's on the stand. And he looks at Preacher. He goes, Mr. Sheridan, could you please answer the question? Jack's like, Preachers. He goes, that's correct. He goes, so what do you make of the fact that according to county records, the water valve at Paige's house was never shut off that day? Objection. Assumes facts not in evidence. And the judge says sustained. Mr. Jenkins, what are you getting at? Now the judge is kind of like talking to the prosecutor. He goes, all I'm wondering, Your Honor, is if the defendant is this man of great integrity, why would he lie to his friend about what he was doing at the time of the murder? What is he trying to hide? And Bree stands up. Your Honor, the DA is completely out of line. This is the first time I'm hearing about this voicemail. And the judge is pissed. She's like, I'm going to stop you both right there. There's clearly some confusion about this voicemail. So why don't you review your discovery and I'll be in my chambers when you're ready to get to the bottom of this. Court is in recess until tomorrow. And she bangs the gavel. All rise, and everybody stands up. Uh-oh. So that guy is playing a little fast and loose. And Preacher looks very nervous, and Bree kind of grabs his arm, and she's like, it's okay, we got this. So now Bree runs into the bathroom, and she's kind of having a bit of a panic attack.
Yep, hyperventilating slightly.
Yep. Remember, she has not been in this courthouse since the whole thing with Dawn.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
now she's having flashbacks of Dawn kind of being an ass during the trial. And so she's taking deep breaths. She's hanging onto the sink. She's starting to cry. And she's remembering Dawn when he approached her at the back of Jack's bar and saying stuff to her. And she's staring at herself in the mirror, trying to pull herself together, fixing her hair, taking a deep breath, looks at her phone, and she sees there's a message from Brady, and it says, thinking of you and preach, give 'em hell. She kind of needed that. She did. She really did kind of need that.
Yeah.
So Jack and Mike are standing outside. She comes out of the restroom, and they're like, hey, are you okay? She goes, I'm fine. How's Preacher? He goes, well, he's shell-shocked. How'd the son of a bitch get my voicemail? And Jack's wondering the same thing that everybody else is wondering. And she's like, I have no idea.
Ooh.
And Mike is like, I am pretty sure I know. And they're looking at him like, uh-oh, who did what? So now we're looking at beautiful waterfall. We go to Doc's clinic, and Mel is doing a pregnancy yoga class. So she's at the front, and we've got 3 participants, maybe 4. And we've got Lizzie and a few other pregnant women. And she's showing them into butterfly. Let's sit up nice and tall. Everyone's following her directions. And the people are like, oh. Now there's this couple that are sitting behind Mel in chairs, kind of like observing this class, which is kind of weird, but whatever. And Mel's like, we lean forward with our chest. We're just going to hold that pose here and try to relax and focus on connecting with your baby. Now the man is saying something to the woman very quietly. Goes, is she sure it's safe for Marley to hold this pose? And the girl, who must be Marley, kind of looks up at the guy. And the woman's like, I don't know. She looks uncomfortable. And like they're whispering, but they're kind of loud whispering. So They're not
It's a big
actually
thing.
whispering. It's not like she's in her ear,
Exactly.
talking.
Exactly.
So this Marley must be Marley, who's sitting who's on the floor doing yoga next to Lizzie, kind of looks up at them, and Marley says to them, guys, I'm 8 months pregnant, so I'm always uncomfortable. Very matter of factly. And they both kind of smile, and Mel smiles at her. And Marley whispers to Mel, I'm sorry. And Mel whispers back, it's okay. And then Mel turns around to the couple and she's like, Marley's perfectly fine. Today's practice was designed for all trimesters. And she gives them a nice smile, and they smile back at her, and they're like, okay. And they look very relaxed. And Lizzie looks at Marley. Lizzie says, your parents? And she goes, oh, no, not mine. His. And she points to the baby. They're adopting him. And Lizzie's like, oh, nice smile. And Mel smiles too. So now everyone's walking outside. We've got the couple who are ahead, and then Mel is walking with Marley. And Marley's like, thanks for a great class, Mel. And she's like, you're welcome. How are you feeling? And she's like, now that my chakras are aligned, it's like I'm a whole new woman. And she goes, Mel's like, oh, I'm really glad to hear that. She goes, I'm really sorry about Phil and Darla. They can be a little bit
Overwhelming.
involved. She goes, yeah, that's a nice way of putting it. She goes, well, you know what? I think it's really sweet that they're so invested in your pregnancy. And Marley's like, yeah. She goes, my fiance and I are actually looking to adopt. And once we match with our birth mother, I'm pretty sure we're going to be exactly like that. She goes, oh, I really don't think you will, but that's kind of you to say. And they both laugh. And Marley asks Mel, she goes, how far in the process are you? She goes, oh, you know what? We're still just working on our applications. We're planning a wedding and just kind of taking a back seat for now. Did you find Phil and Darla through an agency? And Marley looks at them. She goes, yeah. She goes, I met a bunch of prospective parents, but with them, it just kind of clicked. Mel kind of shakes her head and she's like, what was it about them, if you don't mind me asking? She goes, no, not at all. She goes, they're kind and generous and very nurturing. And Mel's like, oh, she goes, pretty much everything you could hope for in adoptive parents. She goes, but if I'm honest, it was also something about this town. They offered to put me up until my little boy gets here. And as soon as I pulled in, I knew the greatest gift I could give him was growing up in a place like this. And Mel's like, yeah. She goes, plus, it has a brand new birthing center. And Mel's like, yeah, right? Now, a little bit of backstory. In the books, there is a character named Marley, and she shows up in Virgin River at the clinic and is very young and wants to give her baby up for adoption. And in the books, Mel has already had 2 children by Jack. She birthed them both. The second one, in the book, she almost died after she had the second baby, and they had to do a hysterectomy. And I'm sorry if I'm spoiling this for people that have read the book, but it's been a long time. They've been out for many, many years. She wanted to have a third child, and because she couldn't, they decided to adopt. And so they were figuring that process out. And so this girl shows up wanting to give up this baby and says that she wants to give the baby to Mel and Jack. And at the same time, prior to this, there's a couple from town who had tried and tried and tried for years to have a baby and were not able to. And they just hoped that one day maybe a baby would find their way to them. And it turned out that Mel connected Marley with this couple because she had already had 2 children. And as much as she really, really wanted this baby, she could have done that. She could have maneuvered the paperwork and everything and adopted this baby. But she just felt so strongly that this couple should adopt this baby. And they wound up
That's
adopting the
so
baby.
mad.
I
That
know.
is so.
It's very, very much Mel that she's, her heart goes out to everyone and that she cares more than, about other people than herself. And so this couple wound up adopting the baby. Now, I like that they've kept the same names. And, we'll see how this turns out. We'll see if obviously Mel didn't meet Marley first. and try and, consider adopting the baby before meeting this other couple, it came through this way. So we'll see how that all pans out. Maybe they'll, like they say, inspired by the books. Well, we'll see how much it's inspired. So we'll see where that leads.
I think the word loosely.
Yeah, it's very loosely based. That's why I always say it's inspired by the books, because we've similar characters, similar storyline, but they change up a lot. And they've taken many of the characters and sort of combined them into other people. You might have two or three characters, and all of those personalities together they've created into like one character. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But all right. So we're back at the barn, and Hope and Doc are still taking care of poor Sugar, who's down for the count. Doc is trying to stitch up the wound and wrap it up, and Hope is just there being very soothing. And it looks like it's all patched up, and they're like, good boy. And hopefully the vet will get there soon, do what needs to be done. And Doc is like, this is the first time I've heard you mention Roland's name and not call him the devil incarnate, which is kind of funny. Because remember, Hope said she had there were 3 people in her life, 3 men. So he must be the bane of her existence. And so she says to Doc, Vernon Mullins, is that jealousy? I'm flattered. He goes, for the record, no, I'm not jealous. It's just pointing out the fact. He goes, well, for the record, he was even worse. The devil incarnate. She goes, should have left him a lot sooner than I did. The horses made it hard to leave. He's like, yeah, I get that. He goes, it's strange being on the farm without Lily. He's like, yeah, it sure is. He goes, don't get me wrong. I'm thrilled that Mel and Jack are making this place their own. But when Sugar turned up, it made me realize how little of Lily is left in this town. He goes, well, Doc's like, we do have the community garden, And he goes, what about Lily's daughters? He goes, it just doesn't seem quite right. Sugar's the last Anderson left in town. Tell me he's going to be okay. He goes, well, we've done everything we can until Dr. Coleman gets here. So she's down with the horse. She's like, sweetie. She goes, look, I got to get back to the clinic, so if anything changes, you call me right away, okay? And she's like, thank you for today. She's like in tears. She goes, it means the world. He kind of blows her. They blow each other a kiss. And she just stays by Sugar's head and just keeps petting him and rubbing him. So Bree and Jack and Preacher and Mike and Kaya are all meeting because it's recess until the next day, and they got to figure out what's going on. So they have the recording, and they're listening to it again, and then Bree shuts it off. And Jack's like, this is my fault. This is all my fault. And Bree's like, no, this is on me. And Mike is like, no, neither of you did anything wrong. Jack, after you got shot, I gave your phone to Jenkins. I totally forgot about it. He goes, yeah, because it was almost a year ago and about a separate investigation. He goes, no, this voicemail was hiding here the entire time. He goes, I just missed it. So now Bree's feeling guilty for it. And Mike is like, no, Jensen is a snake and he buried it. And Jack's like,
we knew he was underhanded because
yes.
He said so earlier.
I mean, he probably didn't tell them specifically that he had it, but he said he had all, he gave them all the discovery. But if he didn't pinpoint one specific voicemail, there'd be no reason for them to like listen to every single of Jack's voicemails, between him and Preacher. I mean, how many, there's probably a lot. Jack's upset and he's like, yeah, and I walked into the trap, and Preacher's like, guys, listen, now, I appreciate you all having my back, but I'm the one who got myself into this. No one is here to blame except for me.
Now the voice of reason, even in chaos.
I know. Bree says, Jenkins got Jack's phone without a warrant and with limited consent. So I'm going to make a motion to get the voicemail suppressed and to strike Jack's testimony from the record. And Kaya's like, well, what will that do? And Bree's like, that will help. But even if the judge grants the motion, the jury still heard what they heard.
Amen.
I mean, you can't ring a bell. Yeah. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And Jack's like, yeah, great. That's why he did it. And Mike is like, dirty move, but you can't unring a bell. See? Great minds think alike.
Yep.
Preacher's just shaking his head. Jack looks pissed. Jack goes over to Preacher and he's like, hey. He's like, you remember what we used to say in the Corps when things were sideways? Preacher's like, improvise, adapt, overcome. And Jack's like, that's right. He goes, you're going to beat this, okay? But I need you to believe that now as much as you did yesterday, man. Bree's like, Jack, Mike, why don't you guys go home, all right? Tomorrow's a new day. We're going to hang back and talk strategy. He's like, are you sure you don't want me to stick around? And Preacher's like, nope, this is my fight. You go be with your fiance. And Mike's like to Bree, call me on your way home. And she's like, I will. He's like, you got this. So Kaya's like, what now? And Bree's like, you two sit tight. I'm going to talk to the judge about emotion. And then we will figure out how to win this jury back. So Kaya and Preacher just standing there, sitting there holding hands. So we're at Jack's bar. And Brady, of course, is upstairs in his room looking at a motorcycle magazine. And Lark's there. She's like, I don't know. We'll figure something out. As she comes in, she goes, I'll call you tomorrow. And she's all teary-eyed. And she's like, okay, goodbye. And he's like, what's wrong? And she's like, as she's crying, she goes, it's my mom. He's like, is she okay? She goes, no, not really. She's like, she's sick, Brady. He's like, what do you mean she's sick? She had kidney disease for a while, and now she needs dialysis. But she doesn't have insurance, and there's no way that she can afford it. And he's like, Jesus. He's like, Lark. And she's crying. Is there anything I can do? She's like, no. She's my problem. Will you hold me?
Oh, please.
Told you I don't. Oh, she's up to something. He's like, always, baby, come here. And they curl up together, spooning. And he's kissing the back of her head. And she's sobbing softly. And then she kind of stops crying and just sits there. Because she's faker. She's a big faker. Jerk. So Doc is back, and he takes his gloves off. He's back at the clinic, throws gloves away, walks into the kitchen. And he's like to Mel. Mel's in there pouring coffee. He's like, oh, is that a fresh pot? And she's like, yeah, you want some? He's like, yes, please. She pours him coffee. She's like, how was your day? He goes, oh, it was pretty good. She's like, I saw Everett this morning. And he looks at her. He goes, oh. He goes, he's feeling much better. He's like, good. She's like, okay. He goes, all right, look, if you're going to be a grump every time we talk about him, I'm not going to fight you on it. But whatever happened between the two of you, it seems like it happened a long time ago. And maybe you don't know everything. He goes, look, trust me. I know everything I need to know about that man. And then Denny walks in. He's like, hi, Grandpa. Like, thank God. Cut the tension a little bit. And he's like, I spoke to Muriel earlier, and she said now might be a good time.
Yep.
And Doc is like, oh, yeah, now's the perfect time. Easy way to not have to talk to Mel. Because that is the last thing he wants to do right now. So he grabs his coffee. And he's like, let's go into my office.
Let's really avoid the situation.
Oh, yeah. So Mel gets a call, and she's like, hey, babe. Obviously, it's Jack. How's it going at the courthouse? And he's like, not great. Can you talk? And she's like, hold on a second. And she goes out the back door. So Denny and Doc go sit in his office. Now, Denny's sitting in a chair, and Doc's sort of sitting on his desk. And he's like, you wanted to speak to me? And he's like, what do you think about giving me an internship at the clinic? If I'm going to practice emergency medicine, I'd really love to start getting some hands-on experience. And who better to learn from than you? And he goes, I wasn't aware I needed an intern. He goes, well, I kind of think you do. And I came up with a bunch of ways that I could fill in some of the holes. And Doc's like, what holes? And he goes, I mean, for one, who's going to fix the router when the internet goes down? He goes, what the hell is a router? She's like, exactly. He goes, I could help Mel at the birthing center whenever she needs a hand. He goes, well, that is a nice idea, but I can't say I'm convinced. He goes, well, I'll do the office grunt work. He goes, what grunt work? Everything that Muriel does on top of her actual job. And I could sanitize the exam rooms between patients to cut down on wait times. And Doc's just looking at him like, uh-huh. Actually, and you know what? Lizzie says I give a really good foot rub. All right, he says, quit groveling. Like he just kind of let him ramble for a while. He's like, you're hired. He would probably have given him the job without all that explanation, but, he looks so desperate. So Doc says to him, "Don't expect any special treatment. Outside these walls, I may be Grandpa, but inside this clinic, it's Dr. Mullins." And Denny's like, "I wouldn't have it any other way, Dr. Mullins." So they shake hands. "Congratulations and welcome aboard." And he's like, "Thank you." And he pats him on the shoulder. How exciting. It's a family business now.
Yep.
So,
Oh, and here's
yep,
slime ball.
Bree runs into Jenkins. He's like, "Hey, you feeling the heat, Council?" And she's like, "What do you want, Roger?" "To end this thing today." And he follows her as she's walking by. And he goes, "Why the hell would you want to do that?" And he's like, "Because I got a docket full of cases on top of a campaign. And you got 12 people in that jury box who aren't going to believe a word your client has to say. Or hell, maybe I'm just feeling generous." And she's like, "Are you suggesting a deal?" So now we are back at the clinic, and Muriel is coming downstairs looking fresh as a daisy, sauntering down the steps, and she
No,
turns around to pose and
oh,
she's like,
yeah,
"Ta-da!"
the only time that woman has never looked good was when she was wearing Connie's sweatshirt.
Right? Exactly. I agree.
He's always impeccably dressed, well made up. Those women who in the South, when they say you never leave your house until you're well made up,
Yep.
well, that is Muriel.
So all three of the sewing circle ladies, we have Liddy, Joellen, and Connie, are at the bottom of the steps waiting for her to emerge, getting ready for her date. And she's like, "What?" And she goes, "Was this too casual?" And Connie looks at her and she goes, "Well, you look like a picnic table," because she has like a lime green and white checkered shirt. It's like a blouse, like a V-neck blouse. And they don't like it.
Oh, yes.
And so they have all these clothes. If you see all the clothes are lined up hanging from the steps, all the outfits. And Connie looks at Joelle and she goes, "I told you not to bring that one." So I guess she was going upstairs to model, to try on things, to pick her outfit for the date. So Liddy picks a different one off the steps, off the railing steps. And she's like, "Well, here, try this one, dear." So she takes the dress. She goes, "And give us your best Dorothy Lamour." So she smiles and she's like, "Okay." She goes back upstairs with the dress to try it on, and they're all like, fingers crossed. So she's putting this dress on, and she's like buttoning it up. Now she's got to put her girls back in her bra. So she's kind of fluffing herself up a little bit. And just as she's fluffing side number 2, she feels something. And she looks
Oh,
very nervous. Very nervous. It looks like, if I were a guessing woman, that she felt a lump in her breast.
oh, yes.
So now we're back at the barn, and Doc is coming to check on Hope and Sugar. And Sugar's standing now. And Doc's like, "Wow." And Hope's like, "Yep, he's just stood up." So he gives Hope a kiss. He's like, "We did it." They're so excited to see he's feeling better. He goes, "What a good boy." So now we are back at Mel and Jack's cabin. And Mel is reading the book that Everett lent her. And she's got the dog, remember Pony? Who's, by the way, they had to recast that character because they waited. There was much too long between filming seasons because there was a director strikes and actor strikes. And so everything got delayed a few extra months from when they were supposed to go back to filming for season 6 and when they actually did. And the dog grew up, and they were gonna, I think, originally start as a puppy, and 4 months, puppies aren't puppies anymore. They grow pretty big. So they recast the dog.
Well,
So
it's also like children. They
yes,
change.
yes,
You can't have a baby in season 1 who's still a baby, 6 years later.
yes. Well,
That
you can if
grows
you have
up.
another baby who's in that same role. You can't have the
Exactly.
same baby because that baby's not going to kindergarten.
I mean, the same baby that we were introduced as Chloe is now a 6-year-old.
Yeah, absolutely. And technically,
You know,
she's only a year and a half. So yeah,
exactly.
it's crazy. So there's the movement by the front door. Of course, the dog, Pony, is just going to jump off the couch. Going to go see what's going on. And there's Jack. Pony's greeting Jack at the door. Mel closes her book, and he's like, "Hey." She's like, "You want to talk about it?" He's like, "No, not really." And he goes to hang up his jacket. She puts the book down and she gets up and she goes up right behind him and gives him a hug on his back. Now this scene right here, her with her head on his back, kind of like resting her head on the back of his back of his head, back of his upper back, and putting her arms on his shoulders. They use this picture a lot, like promoting the season. So everybody was like, "What's going on? Why are people sad? What's happening?" Like it's just so much speculation from like one picture, and all it is he's had a very long day at the courthouse, and she's just trying to be supportive. Like it was nothing, but you never know. I mean, everything is a teaser when you don't know the context behind some of the promotional photos that they put out. But it's a great photo. They're just there to support each other. And she's like, "It's going to be okay." And he's like, "Yeah." And she's rubbing his shoulders. And they have like sad music playing. And he turns around and she touches his face and he gives her a kiss. It's like, they just kind of had a long day, long emotional day. More kissing with these
It's a
two.
makeup. It's a makeup session
Oh,
now.
yeah, a little bit. That starts as a makeout session. More kissing, and she's taking his tie off. Well, they said that they wanted more romance in season 6.
That's true.
Unbuttoning his shirt, taking off her robe. And we know what happens after that. We don't need to see it. But now we're in the bathtub. So I guess we do need to see it.
Well, the last time we saw them in a bathtub, they had to run out
Oh yes,
and
the house was on fire. I'd question the several candles they have in the background. They might want to be careful about that. So the two of them are in the bathtub, and she's kind of using him as a pillow. He's like, "It was just," she says to him, "it was like I got to know this side of my mom." So she's explaining to him. She's like, "I didn't even know existed this side of my mom." So she's explaining to him her time spent with Everett and him going through the many stories and how the parents met. And he's like, "Oh." She's like, "But you know the craziest part?" And he's like, "What?" She's like, "He is still in love with her." And Jack's like surprised. He goes, "Wow, poor guy." She's like, "I know." Big deep breath. She goes, "But at the same time, if it weren't for all his heartache and if it weren't for all my heartache, then I might not be here in this bathtub with you." And he laughs. He goes, "So you're saying it's fate?" And she looks up at him. He laughs. He goes, "Sort of. Yeah, I guess." He goes, "What? Okay, mister, how do you explain my dad picking up my mom on the side of the road, them getting stuck in the same town where I walk into your bar all these years later? Now they're holding hands." And she's like, "Hmm." And he's like, "That's just," she's like, "What? What is it?" And he's like, "Coincidence." She goes, "Yeah, right. Remarkable coincidence, but it's still a coincidence." And they're kind of laughing. She's like, "Fine." He goes, "Look, all I'm saying is that I've just spent so many years wishing things had happened the way that they have, but they all brought me to you."
Very true.
She looks up at him and he kisses the top of her head. She goes, "The world breaks everyone, and afterwards many are strong at the broken places." And he smiles and he's like, "Hemingway?" She's like, "Mm-hmm." He goes, "You're reading Hemingway?" And she laughs. She goes, "Yes." He goes, "What?" He goes, "Everett lent me his copy of Farewell to Arms." He's like, "Wow, okay, I like this guy more and more every day." And they start chuckling. He goes, "Yeah, I told him it was one of your favorites." He goes, "Yeah, I love that book so much."
It's heavy reading, I have to tell you.
Yeah,
Oh God. I'm an English lit major.
right.
Oh, that is some serious reading.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever, unless I had to read it for school, I don't think I've ever read Hemingway. Sorry, not a
We're
big.
not gonna get started. We're not gonna get started with you and your books,
Nope,
okay?
nope.
Actual
We're just gonna go right
book.
over that. We're just gonna move on. So Jack said that he read a lot when he was overseas, and he said he got Preacher hooked on Hemingway. And Mel's like, "Are you sure you don't want to talk about it?" And Jack's like, "I just don't want to lose another brother, you know?" She's like, "Hey, no matter what happens, you're going to get through this." She looks up at him. He's like, "Okay." She goes, "Because you are strong at the broken places." And they smile. They're very sweet together. He's like, "Thanks." He's kissing her forehead. She looks like she's crying. She goes, "Preacher's going to be okay, too." He's like, "Yeah." I think he's teary also. He goes, "I hope so." So sad. God, it's rough. But they brought some romance back, so I'm happy about that. Way more kissing in these episodes, and we're only on number 2 than in
Well,
like all of last season.
I'm glad to see it back.
Well, it's like, it's about the romance. It's about their relationship, and it's like a bunch of episodes. It's like they forgot that they even had a relationship. There just wasn't a lot of like togetherness and closeness with the two of them. It's like obviously they're together. Obviously they're in love with each other. We knew that, but it's like we didn't get to see much of it last season. So I'm really really glad that they pivoted and brought a lot of that back. So it's late at night, and Preacher is still at the courthouse and looking out the window, probably contemplating life. And Kaya's with him, and Bree walks in, and she's got a stack of papers with her. She's like, Jenkins is offering us a plea deal, manslaughter. And he's like, why would he do that? He played his best card with the voicemail. So now he's trying to wrap this up with our backs against the wall. She's got her hands on her hips, and she's like looking at them. And Kaya's like, so what does a plea deal mean as far as, she goes, I negotiated him down to the minimum, 2 years with good behavior. Oh, that's tough. It's like, okay, so do we fight or do we take 2 years?
That's rough, no matter how you look at it.
Well, and it's 2 years, but with good behavior, he could be out in 1 year. But do you risk having it be way more or getting completely off? Or do you say, I'm going to give up a year of my life, have a record, and move on? It's like, that's a tough decision.
It is. And he's such an upstanding guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I mean, if it was Brady, different situation.
Oh,
100%.
Definitely.
So.
Man with no record.
I know. Bree's like, I know this is not the outcome we were expecting. And Preacher's like, so what if I don't take the deal? And Bree's like, we do damage control. Roll the dice with the jury. She goes, but worst case, murder in the first degree is 25 to life. He goes, yeah, I know. If I plea, they won't go after Paige, right?
Oh, boy.
And Bree's like, depending on the prosecutor, it could actually incentivize them to double down on finding her. And he's like, come on, that's insane. All of this for nothing? Oh, that's a tough spot.
Mm-hmm.
And Bree's looking at him. She goes, look, as your attorney, I think you'd be smart to take the plea. She looks at him. She goes, I am going to get that voicemail thrown out, but we have our work cut out to win over the jury. As your friend, I'm right behind you if you want to go out there and fight to clear your name. That's what he needed to hear. And Kaya's like, I think I'm going to be sick. And she leaves.
Girl needs some fresh air.
Yeah, she goes out and she's taking a deep breath, and Preacher follows her. He's like, I get it. This is too much. It's not what you signed up for. And she's like, damn right. He's like, and if you want out, I understand. No hard feelings. And she's like, out? You think I want out? I want justice. He goes, so do I. But I can't take that plea if it means that Paige and Christopher won't be safe. But if I go down, I'm going to lose you forever. I can't live with that either. So you tell me, what am I supposed to do? She's like, I don't know. She goes, I just wish the jury could see you for who you really are. I wish they could see that all you did that day was help a woman in need. I wish they could see that the man I love, and he looks at her like, whoa, is the greatest man in the world.
The L word came up.
I know. She goes, that's right. I'm in love with you, John. And if they could see the man that I see, they would know that you didn't take a life that day.
It's so hard when somebody calls him John, because all of a sudden I'm going, who's John?
Yeah, right. You're like, John, who's John? What are we talking about? It's Preacher. Stop messing with him.
I have to do my brain has to do a switch.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. She says John, and I'm going, John? Oh, Preacher.
Who? Oh, yeah, Preacher. Right. It's like you have to think about it. He's like, you didn't take a life that day. You saved one.
Nicely said.
And he shakes his head and he goes, right. And he goes back and he walks in to Bree and he's like, no deal. You put me on the stand. Kaya and Preacher look at each other. And Bree's kind of like, okay, we're going to do this. And it's over.
Mm-mm. The fight is on, ladies and gentlemen. The fight is on.
The whole thing with Preacher was like the first 3 episodes, because we have to get that all resolved before we can like move on to all the wedding festivities. So one more episode discussing this whole thing, and then they wrap it up, and then we get to move on to some really fun stuff. But yeah, that's tough. The courtroom scene, they do courtroom scenes really well, like with
Mhm.
Bree's whole thing. And
Yeah.
this is another one. They do really well. She's a badass. Bree is a badass a lawyer.
That's it. Mm-hmm.
So good for her. But yeah, that was a good one. It's a lot going on. I mean, I'm glad that they've brought the romance back. It's a little bit of suspense, it's a little bit of intrigue, but not so much that it's overpowering.
Yeah.
So, yep, there you
We
go.
got to see our four favorite ladies.
Yes. Oh, there's some really great scenes with them coming up. They are they are such a fun group. I'm so
They are.
glad that this show has given them such a rich
Yeah.
storylines and parts and I don't know. I really like how they were so involved that
Yeah.
they have such a good part of the storyline with these four women.
I think, and as I said before, I think if they weren't there, as much as we love Mel and Jack, I don't think the story would be well rounded.
Yeah, no,
You know
it's
what I
definitely with every it's like every part.
every every character actor has to be there in order to
Yeah.
enhance
We
the
need all the
couples.
pieces.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. They say it takes a village. Well, it does.
yeah,
And the
it
village
does.
and the town is called Virgin River, and that's it's like you need everybody. You need
Yep.
everybody to make the story what it is, because if you are missing a lot of these parts, it doesn't it's like it just doesn't fit. It's like something's missing.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what I said. It makes a well-rounded
Yeah,
town
I
in
agree.
sense and well-rounded characters.
Yeah.
Because Mel and Jack are great, but they need to interact with characters that are just as rich.
Yes.
You know what
And
I mean?
that's the difference. Every character has a rich storyline. They've got backstories, they fit intricately with everyone else. So they've done a
Mhm.
really, really good job with
They
creating
have.
the whole picture.
Yeah.
I think they're definitely back on track. I think that they've really figured it out. I think they found the special sauce, and I
Don't
mean
mess
this
with the sauce now.
yes, season 6 was really good. So they finished
Yes.
filming season 7. They actually announced that they were picked up for season 8. They've been renewed, which is super early. They usually announce right before the season that's coming comes out, right before. So this is like, I mean, they literally just wrapped. So to come out that early, and it didn't say eighth and final, it just said eighth. So that just means that people are hoping that they make it to like 10. That's like the
That would
word
be
on the street if they can make it to 10.
yeah.
I mean, these people, the actors, when Alex Breckenridge and Martin Henderson first started the show, they were like in the middle of so many other shows on Netflix where like monsters and murder and Orange is the New Black and all kind, Stranger Things and all kinds of crazy stuff. And they were like, "Who's gonna watch this? Like, we're out
Yeah.
here. We're gonna do one season. People are gonna go, yeah, that's cute, and they're gonna go on with it." So they put 150% into it, figuring this is the only season we're gonna get. We may as well have a great time and just go in 150%, put everything into it, and not worry about it too much. And when they got picked up, they were like, "What? Really?" And then they got
Yep.
picked up again, and they're like, "Huh?" And now they're like,
I-
8?
yeah. Yeah. Well, I watched this show from the very beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, I got you hooked in what season?
5,
Season
4,
3,
5.
season
I think it
5.
was 4 or
Okay,
5.
okay, 4. Because I wasn't sure I should have said anything to you. I was very hesitant, and even when I told you about it, I was still hesitant
Yeah.
because I thought it was a well done show. I mean, it wasn't, as I said to you when we first started to do this, there was no bang up shoot. I mean, yes, we've had some shooting and whatever, but there's no gore, there's no overabundance of
No, but there's
sex.
so
Like
much
the sex,
substance and the
don't get me
people.
wrong.
And honestly,
Yeah.
it's Mel's infertility struggle. That's what got me.
Okay.
That's what did it for me because
Okay.
I've lived that. I lived 5 years of that. So I get it,
Yeah.
and the way that they've portrayed it so honestly,
Yeah.
so raw. I mean, ugh, some of those
Yeah.
episodes, I was crying right along with her. So it's like that's what got me, that's what hooked me, and then you're in as like, okay, now that I'm here, let me see, and then you realize how rich the characters are and how rich the storyline is, and
Yeah.
there's just so much to it, and here we are 55
Yeah.
episodes later. 56 or whatever we're on. But yeah, now they're the longest running drama on Netflix in Netflix history, because
Woo-hoo.
they were 7 was the longest, but now they've been picked up for 8. So now they've bypassed the longest. They've even beat themselves. So yeah,
See,
and
keep watching,
usually
folks. Keep
usually
watching.
Netflix has 2, 3 seasons, 3, 4 maybe. 5. I don't think anything's gone past 5 or 6, and that's why when they hit 7, that was like the record. But now they've been picked up for 8, and so we get another year. So we're so excited. We have 7 coming out maybe the end of this year, maybe the beginning of next year. We don't know. We'll see. But good to know that 8 will not be the final. They've not said that, so we're going to fingers crossed we can get a few more seasons out of them. They may have to speed up the timeline because even the actors are like, okay, it's been a year and a half, and I've aged 7 years. Like, we're gonna have to see how that goes. They've jumped the line a little bit. They've jumped 4 months. I think they need to push it maybe a little bit more. We'll see how the end of season 7 turns out, because season 6, the entire season is the span of 3 weeks and a day,
Yeah.
and I'll explain during as we watch, as we listen, as we go through it. I'll explain how I know exactly the season was 3 weeks and a day. I will. It will be much more clear later. But the entire season, which it's funny that every season is about a month. It's like, okay, that's why we are only a year and a half into their life. But that's okay. We're still here for it. We're still with him. So,
Yes, we are.
all right. Well, thank you again, everybody, for listening. We did reach over 7,000 downloads, which is crazy. Just crazy.
I
Um,
agree.
that's, thank you, people, for listening. Thank you, everybody, for coming back and enjoying our little craziness. I again must apologize for the finale of season 5. It was freaking long. I don't know what was going on with us. We were so chatty on that one. I mean, we kept to, we went off track a little here and there, but I think it was like 2 hours and 9 minutes.
Well, we don't do it very often,
No.
so.
Oh my gosh. I think we've had one that was under an hour. I don't know what was going on that day either. Again, no idea. But yeah, that one was 2 hours and 9 minutes. It was the season 5 finale. Maybe that was
And there
the
was a
reason.
lot to say.
There was
We
a
had a lot.
lot. There was a lot to
There was a
say.
lot going on that
Yeah, I,
episode.
I actually wrote like a little header on the little heads up saying, sorry, it was a little long. My apologies.
Well, yeah, remember they had to hit all the storylines. They had to
There
have
was a
all the
lot. And then it's like they
cliffhangers
wrapped
at
up.
the same time.
They
Right.
wrapped up some things, but then they left us with 5 cliffhangers. So,
Exactly.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
But
Okay, folks.
all right.
Au revoir.
All right. Thank you so much. And we will be back again for another episode. Take care. Bye bye.